I'm 92 years old. My name is Rosemary Clark. And before I go, before this body fully gives out and these memories fade completely, I need to say something I've never said. Not to my children. Not to my late husband. Not even to myself fully. I've lived a long life. The kind people call respectable. I was loyal, polite, dependable. I did what was asked. I stayed where I was planted. I smiled when I was supposed to. And yet, there is one truth I never gave voice to. One secret I've carried, quietly, across decades and seasons and cities and funerals. Not a scandal. But something more dangerous than that. A question I never answered. Who could I have been if I hadn't been so afraid? It's not regret exactly. It's more like a slow ache. The kind that hums beneath the skin when the room is quiet. The kind that wakes you in the middle of the night, not with fear but with longing. And now, with the time I have left, I want to give someone else what I never gave myself. Permission. To ask. To want. To remember. Because memory is not where we lose ourselves. It's where we find the truth. I made myself one promise when I was 19. Don't disappear. I wrote it on the back of a receipt and tucked it into my diary. At the time, I had dreams bigger than anyone around me could understand. Travel, poetry, painting on rooftops in strange cities. But then life happened. Marriage, children, dinners to make, laundry to fold, smiles to maintain. And slowly I broke that promise. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 quiet ones. I stopped painting, stopped writing, stopped asking, what do I want? Instead I asked, what do they need? That question became my compass. And I don't regret loving my family. I don't regret showing up. But I do regret making myself so small, they never even noticed I disappeared. Now, at 92, I whisper that promise again in my mind. Don't disappear. And this time I say it like I mean it. Even if it's only for what remains. There's a box under my bed I never let anyone touch. Not my children. Not my late husband. Not even the housekeeper who's been with me for 12 years. Inside it? Me. Old poems on yellow paper. Photographs I never showed. Letters I wrote and never sent. One from Paris. I never went. But I imagined it so vividly it felt real. In that box are versions of me the world never met. Bold. Curious. Messy. Undone. Sometimes I take it out late at night when the house is still and the loneliness settles in like dust. I open it slowly like it might vanish. And every time I wonder, why didn't I let her live more fully? I kept her hidden. Maybe to protect her. Maybe because I didn't think she was allowed outside the box. But now, as my hands tremble and my time narrows, I think it's time to let her out. Before it's truly too late. All my life, people asked me the same things. Need anything from the store? How are the kids? What's for dinner? Are you doing okay? Polite questions. Safe questions. But no one ever asked, who are you really when no one else is watching? And maybe I wouldn't have known how to answer. But I would have tried. Because beneath the aprons and holiday cards and PDA meetings, I was someone. Someone who liked stormy nights more than sunny ones. Someone who wanted to take photographs of strangers and write their stories. Someone who wanted to feel chosen, not just needed. We always assume we have time to ask the deeper questions. But years pass. People fade. And then you're 92. Sitting by a window, whispering answers to questions no one thought to ask. But today, just for me, I ask, who are you, Rosemary? And I answer, there was another version of me once. She stood at the edge of a train platform in Chicago, suitcase in hand, freshly graduated and hungry for the world. She had a ticket to New York, a job offer, a roommate waiting, and a voice in her head whispering, go. But I didn't go. I stayed. Because someone I loved needed me. Because good girls didn't run off alone. Because being wanted felt safer than being brave. And I built a life here. A good one. Children. A husband. A home filled with birthdays and soup pots and piano recitals. But sometimes, I still wonder about her. The version of me who took the train. Did she write books? Did she fall in love twice? Did she ever eat dinner alone and feel complete? I don't regret my life. But I do mourn the one I never met. And at 92, I'm finally making peace with both of us. When I turned 70, I found a letter I'd written to myself at 30. It was stuffed in an old jewelry box, yellowed at the edges. I'd forgotten all about it. Inside, my younger self wrote about the dreams she refused to compromise on, starting her own cafe, traveling to Tuscany, dancing barefoot at midnight in Paris. She begged me not to trade wonder for routine. Reading that letter hurt more than I expected. Because I had traded most of it. Not out of failure. But because life got busy, children got sick, the roof leaked, and the magic gave way to the schedule. So I wrote back. Not to apologize, but to honor her. I booked a ticket to Italy, alone, at 70. And for 2 weeks I was the girl in that letter. I sipped red wine on cobbled streets. I watched the sun rise over olive groves. And I danced, barefoot, in a quiet square in Florence. It wasn't too late. And if you're reading this, maybe it's not too late for you either. It happened quietly, the moment I stopped needing anyone's permission to live my own life. I was 81. I signed up for an art class at the community center. I didn't tell anyone. I just showed up with a blank canvas and shaky hands. Everyone else was half my age. At first I felt silly, out of place. Then the instructor said, "Paint what you wish someone had seen in you." And I cried. Right there. In front of everyone. Because I'd spent so many years asking, is this okay? Can I say this? Am I allowed to want this? But that day I painted my truth. A field of wildflowers under a stormy sky, messy, untamed, and fully alive. That painting hangs in my hallway now. Not because it's beautiful, but because it's mine. No approval. No compromise. Just a reminder. You don't need permission to bloom. Not at 21. Not at 81. Not ever. The question was simple. What haven't you forgiven yourself for? It came from a nurse. A young woman with tired eyes and too much kindness in her voice. I was lying in a hospital bed, my chart screaming numbers no one wanted to say aloud. And I answered without thinking. I didn't show up the way I should have, for the people who loved me most. She didn't respond. Just held my hand and said, "Then maybe now's the time to forgive yourself. Or tell them. Or both." So I did. I wrote letters. One to each of my children. One to my sister. One to my best friend who I hadn't spoken to since 2009. I said things I should have said decades ago. I didn't wait for perfect words. I just wrote the truth. And now I sleep better. Because even if my time's almost up, my heart finally feels light.